Discrimination to me means when you hate or you are against someone based on skin, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or anything, when you want to slander and hate on someone just because of their ethnicity.
Tumblr is definitely an example of this.
Right now, I would say within school and like possibly getting jobs, because people always look at you to do certain jobs, and if they don't feel you're fit enough to do them, then they won't hire you.
Sometimes in schools, depending how the school is, and depending on like where you've been raised too.
Not within school, but when I did sports, it was a big thing because I played with a lot of guys. So it was really weird for them to have a female on their team, because I was in wrestling for a while, but not for the school. They would always talk about how I didn't have enough skill for it, when in reality, I did. You get looked down on for just about anything you do. It frustrates me very, very much.
I mean, no, not really. Like, I never quite, like, with autism, you're kind of born with it, so, you know, you never were in the mind of a non-autistic person. You were always in the mind of a autistic person, so I wouldn't really say I'm ashamed about that. For sexuality-wise, I would say both yes and no. Like, at first I was kind of like, how would my ex-boyfriend react about this? How would these people react?
At times yes, but then there's times, of course, I think no. I felt ashamed for some time because I'm Hispanic. I speak Spanish mostly, and I speak English. So there was a time where I was very ashamed that I was, of course, being raised by Hispanic parents. I was ashamed in the point because I saw all these people who were unlike me. You know, English was their only language. It was their first language, and their parents knew they knew enough, like, to the point where they're like, oh, I can help you. My parents didn't, and I felt ashamed because I was like, I'm missing out on something. The most difficult part is that you don't know, you're trying to figure things out. You're trying to figure out who to trust exactly and who to go to. I think society does allow discrimination, because in news articles, magazines, you see that there's a lot of people who don't identify as another person who seem different. You see most of the people, like when you think of a businessman, you think of a white male who is, of course, straight. When people are like, oh, the person's working in business, you think that's the first image you might think, because society has let you build that image.
No, not really. Although people's opinions on discrimination are different, I highly doubt anybody would like to see discrimination, despite the different the definitions of it. I mean, I'd say both yes and no. Like, some people, they're discriminatory because they never met those kind of people. But for me personally, I come from a kind of politically mixed family. But I highly doubt any of them are really extremists about it. In Mr. Peacier's class, we're reading this book called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and one of the quotes from the main character's dad is that some men are blind, but this man chose not to see, and I feel like that kind of applies here. Some people do not know about other people, and that's why they're kind of discriminatory against it. But other people are aware, and they're still discriminatory because of that.
If they understood that it frustrated people as much as it did and didn't think of it more so as just a joke, then I think it would help. But a lot of people in this society likes to think that every female who wants to talk about how they feel about society is just hormonal and PMSing.
Maybe. I can't say for sure, because people they work different, and they're just strange. Because you might want to I put it in strange because you don't know who you're gonna face. There's some people who are more understanding, the person who'll take some time to convince, and there's the people who are in between, where you'll maybe find a way to get them to understand, but then you might still not get a piece of that.
Well, considering that they just now decided to have a club for like girls who code, I think that it's working up to that point, but I'm not positive if they're still advocating for equality between male and female.
I mean, I would like a GSA here and there, but considering the behavior of the students here,
I think they can help by voicing out experiences, just explaining how they felt growing up. Hey, I've overcome this, and other people said I couldn't or I wouldn't. And I think that's what's important, to always talk about your experiences, what you've overcome, and other things there.
trying to respect people despite your beliefs. Like, for example, I wouldn't mind being friends with a very far-right person as long as they're respectful to me back.
Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself regardless of the other gender of the person.
You know, you should always respect people despite your beliefs, even if you believe that gender is a biological thing. If somebody comes up to you and asks to go by they them pronouns, you should go by they them pronouns. Granted that they're not trying to disrespect you back. I feel like that respect should be a two-way thing. It's not tilted to one side or another. People shouldn't ask for respect if they're beating down on men all the time, and people shouldn't ask for respect if they're constantly being discriminatory against anybody.